We have to take this one day at a time. There's so many what ifs, so many things we don't know, and you can sit there and freak out about all of it, but it hasn't actually happened yet. So what's the point in wasting the time that you have right now by worrying about a future that doesn't even exist?
Welcome to the Venture-Ette podcast, where women from all over the world share their stories of travel, moving abroad, and creating a new life for themselves, hoping to inspire you to live out your dreams by showing you how other women did it. I'm your host, Venture-Ette, Ashley.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Venture-Ette podcast. I'm Ashley, and I just want to start off by saying thank you so much for being here. It really means a lot to me, truly. When launching this podcast, I really want this to be about moving abroad and travel, but I didn't feel like that would be appropriate to start off with that right away, just because with everything that's going on in the world. So instead, I thought I would give you guys something that I think would be really helpful, and that is a little bit on how to stay physically and mentally healthy during this time. Which is why I'm so happy to have Meaghan Janisse on the show today. I met her last year in 2019 in Bali, Indonesia. We were actually Facebook friends for several months prior to that. So Bali was our first in-person meeting. When I met her, I was just blown away by her drive, her generosity. I mean, she cooked me an amazing meal the first day we met, and I was blown away by her strength as well. She works and trains with entrepreneurial women online, so she is your online personal trainer and meal planner, but she also gives great nutritional tips on how to get fit and live a happy, balanced life, no matter where you are in the world and no matter how busy you are. And also she really caters to budget-friendly meals. So she really thinks all the way through when it comes to nutrition. But what's even more exciting about her job is that she gets to work from anywhere in the world because she works online. She first started solo traveling in 2013 around South America, and then she eventually moved abroad to Vietnam in 2016. And eventually she pursued her love of fitness and started her online business in 2018 while living in Chiang Mai, Thailand. From there, she's gone on to continue to work and travel around the world in Southeast Asia, Europe, and she's now in Puerto Escondido, Mexico, where her travel plans have come to a halt, but her work hasn't stopped. She is hustling every day to make sure not to motivate just her clients, but as many people as she can via social media. So today I am happy to have her here on the show and talk about how to stay physically and mentally active and healthy. And I hope you find this helpful. I am so happy to welcome Meaghan.
Hey, Ashley, thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, no, I'm so happy to have you. I just kind of want to start off. So right now you are in Mexico. How are you doing there right now?
Yeah, so I was in Oaxaca City, obviously, where you also came and worked with me and took some awesome photos. And then just a couple days ago, I came down to Puerto Escondido, which is on the Pacific coast. So it's still in Oaxaca province, but now at the beach instead of up in the mountains. It's really beautiful here. It's so nice to be at the beach, open air. It's a very small town. And from what I understand, it's actually usually a fair bit busier than it is right now because it's definitely fairly empty, I would say. But yeah, a friend I met in Oaxaca City, we decided that, if we're going to be quarantined somewhere, the best place to be would be at the beach where we can have easily accessible nature because we didn't want to be stuck inside a house without any way to be exposed to anything else. So we decided to come down here. And it looks like there might be some amount of quarantining going on pretty much within the next few days. So they weren't doing that yet. People were really questioning what Mexico was even going to do. And it kind of seems like on the federal level, the president is not necessarily that concerned about it because he's more concerned about the economy, which I know is also a move that Trump did in the States. But it looks like it's more like being handled provincially. So each governor of each province is kind of taking action. So it looks like in Oaxaca, they are probably going to start doing a quarantine really soon.
Okay. Well, that's good because, yeah, I feel like no one really had heard much about like Mexico, but I feel like now more than ever this week, more and more countries are taking action and doing more quarantine. So, how has that been for you, like personally? You're obviously far from where you're from, which is Canada. So, how have you felt so far during this time amidst of this time of self quarantine and this pandemic?
Yeah, so of course, I was a bit concerned when I saw the Canadian Prime Minister was urging all Canadians abroad to come home. I had a lot of family and friends reaching out to me asking what I was doing, but I just talked about it a lot with my fellow nomadic friends, asking them, are they going to be going back to their countries? And I guess just after discussion, I realized that it's not necessarily any safer to go back to Canada. I mean, of course, the biggest distinction is having good quality healthcare, and in Canada, it would be for free as well. So, the way that I'm looking at this entire thing and kind of the way I feel like everyone should look at it is just that we really just have to kind of take it one day at a time because it's just like, there's so many what ifs, so many things we don't know. We just don't know how it's going to develop. So I feel like, yeah, just practice what you can control, like the safety steps, like, okay, washing your hands, social distancing, all that kind of stuff. And then, yeah, just try to still make use of this time and see this quarantine, like, even though it's kind of sucks, at least still trying to be somewhat productive, develop some new skills maybe. And yeah, so kind of just going to be sticking it out here, trying to be as safe as I can. And then, of course, if things get really crazy, then I would just go back to Canada or even try to go somewhere else that seems safer.
I feel like that's a good plan. I feel like you really can only take it a day at a time just because I feel like everything is changing so quickly. One day is not the same as the day before. So, yeah, just kind of taking those necessary precautions is really all you can do. But for you, for someone who, is a solo traveler and also works online and working on your own business, I don't feel like this has really changed so much of your routine, has it? Other than, maybe going to a gym, you would probably work out more at home, right?
Yeah, well, and to be honest, that's actually been a huge adjustment for me. I know probably like for more the average person, it's like, oh, okay, can't go to the gym. It's not really a big deal. But obviously, I'm very much like gym 5 days a week for years. But it's actually been kind of good because I haven't ever really been very knowledgeable about what you can do at home just with body weight or just with random things in the house because I've always been like, nah, I'm just going to go to the gym. So I've kind of seen it as a bit of an opportunity where I'm like, okay, I can actually like get creative in this department and learn more about it. And I'm actually seeing this movement in the entire fitness industry because, of course, most of the people that I follow in fitness are big gym people like myself. But it kind of seems like a lot of us fitness people are coming to this realization of like, actually, you can still do pretty effective workouts from home because I think we all get like afraid that, oh, if you're not in the gym actually strength training, it's not going to be as effective. And obviously, yes, of course, you definitely are more limited just at home. But I've been pleasantly surprised to discover how good of a workout I can still get in. So that's definitely been a big change is working out from home, no gym, but it's been fun. And I've just been like, okay, well, you know what? This is a perfect time to just do what you can to provide value to your community, to your audience. So I've just been going ham, making videos, like filming tons of at home stuff. And a thing that I'm also realizing and a kind of shift I'm seeing in the fitness industry in general is since the gym and everything is kind of out of the picture, it's okay, maybe you can't necessarily optimize your training side of things, but it's the perfect time to really nail your nutrition. And at the end of the day, the nutrition is the most important thing of the two. So that's actually kind of a shift I'm making right now where I'm like, I really want to focus more on the nutrition awareness for people. And like, I'm always big about nutrition, but like really focusing in on it and being like, okay, now is your time. Like you're stuck at home anyways. Like you can't go out to eat. You don't have any social gatherings where normally there's tons of food to distract you. So like, this is the perfect time where like you can be at home, learning how to cook, learning how to put together nutritious food and like really focus on it. And that can bring about really dramatic results with your health and fitness. So that's kind of a shift I'm making.
No, and that's good because I feel like what people tend to be like leaning towards when buying at the grocery store are like kind of like the unhealthy things. I mean, they're trying to buy things that will, of course, last longer. And so they're kind of going for maybe like the very like highly processed snacks. People were buying a lot of flour and like sugar and, people aren't necessarily realizing that what you really need is like healthy foods if you really want to protect your immune system. So a lot of the times in the supermarket, a lot of the produce is still there. And I'm like, why is the produce not being sold out? Like that's what people should really be focusing. So like for you, you've always been someone that does enjoy to cook at home. So what would you say are your biggest staples that, they do last a long time, but are really healthy for you right now?
Yeah, it's funny what you're saying about, because so down here in Mexico, since there hasn't really been that panic and people haven't been quarantining yet, like there's not really any change in the grocery stores. It's just the same as it's always been. So I can't see like what are people panic buying and what aren't they? So it's interesting to hear that people aren't taking the produce back in the States. But yeah, I mean, of course, this would all depend on how readily food is available, continuing moving forward. But I mean, according to international politics, there's no problem with our food supply. Like, that's not something that people shouldn't be panic buying. I don't really understand exactly why people are, but there's not going to be any shortage of food. So that's not something that we need to worry about. So I think, I wouldn't necessarily say that you have to do anything particularly different. I suppose it's just that you want to make sure that you're getting as much as you can in one grocery shop. But I mean, the prime focus of your nutrition should always be on produce anyways and whole foods, right? So your fruits, veggies, potatoes, beans, whole grains. Obviously, if you do eat animal products, then like trying to stay as organic as you can with that. Healthy fats like avocados, clean oils, nuts and seeds, and their butters. So pretty much like if you are sticking with just those things, at least the vast majority of the time, you're going to be in incredible shape. You're going to have crazy amounts of energy. You're going to feel and look better than you ever have before. I actually put together a free resource last week, which you can go and download at www.nomadicfitness.co.co. We don't have the M yet. Somebody's bought that domain and I might be getting it. I'm trying to figure out how much I'm willing to pay for that M. But yes, nomadicfitness.co. You can go on there and you can download for free a meal planner template and a Whole Foods grocery list. Because again, I was like, I think that this would be really helpful for people right now, stuck at home. They don't know what to eat. So it lays out really clearly, like exactly what are the components of a meal, how to eyeball portion sizes. So how to understand how much you actually should be eating, and then telling you like exactly what to get when you go to the grocery store. And then, yeah, I think, I mean, as long as maybe you're going once a week, probably you could even get away with like once every 2 weeks, and you just really stock up on primarily on the produce. Definitely, getting some frozen options can definitely last a little bit longer. But that's how you should be eating all the time, no matter if you're quarantined or not.
No, I agree. I just feel like people are trying to just take as much as they can, like you said, in one go. So they're like limiting the amount of times they go to the supermarket, which I mean makes sense. But I feel like sometimes people are just kind of maybe overdoing it. So I just feel like, yeah, if you have like a set list of what you need to get and just realize how long it could last you for, then you don't need to like overbuy things that maybe you don't need, and then everyone else can have access to it as well, because yeah, there's not going to be any disruption in the supply chain. But I feel like people right now, just being in a state of panic, it's really easy to just kind of think, oh, I need to get as much as I can for myself right now. But yeah, produce I feel like is a very important. But I know one of your go-to staples are like, oats. I know how much you love oats. Yeah. So I would say you could stock up on that, right? And maybe like some beans or lentils. Like what else would you say?
Yeah, so the oats falls into the whole grains, right? So yeah, really, when you're talking about, okay, what are whole foods? It's just a few categories. So yes, fruits and vegetables, all of them, all the different colors, get lots and lots, like just buy tons of it, then yeah, so your whole grain. So that would be things like oats, rice, quinoa. It can also be things like whole wheat pasta, whole wheat bread. So stocking up on that. And I mean, of course, like you can buy that in bulk really easily and it can last you for ages. It's dirt cheap and it's obviously super, super good for you. Potatoes, lots of those, beans and legumes. So like all of them, whether it's black beans, kidney beans, chickpeas, lentils, all of that stuff. And then, yeah, just pretty much it's going more into like nuts and seeds and their kind of butters, avocados, clean oil. So when I say clean oil, I mean things like coconut oil or olive oil. So something that comes from a whole food. Avoid things that are really processed, like Pam and Crisco and that kind of stuff. That's not good for you. It's not from a whole food. But pretty much like those are the things that really your diet is going to consist of. And so if you just go in the grocery store, mainly purchase all of those things, maybe a few little odds and ends of some random kind of like condiments and stuff, things that are a little bit more of like a one-off purchase. But again, you can see all of this in my free list if you download it at nomadicfitness.co. It's all listed there for you. So you don't have to guess. You literally just plug and play. It's super simple.
And I think those are like all great ideas. And I'm glad that you put out that resource for everyone, because I feel like some people are like, how do I, adjust in this time? But, you have like your exercise and your nutrition that you worry about. But I feel like also, what else do you think has been helping you kind of stay sane during this time? I know there hasn't been a lot of quarantine or anything like that in Mexico, but what else do you feel like has really helped you mentally and then maybe indirectly physically, like during this time? Like what else have you been doing?
Well, to be honest, I honestly just feel like I'm not really doing anything that different than my usual life other than going to the gym. And I think it's just that I have, fortunately, over this past little while of being an entrepreneur, built up some like pretty good routines, good habits, good mindset. And so, I'm quite productive with my days, although I also really value the importance of having balance. So I kind of go to bed early, I get up early, and I have a really good morning routine where I'm in airplane mode. I'm really big on that. I really recommend people try it out. If you haven't done that, like putting your phone into airplane mode before you go to bed and not switching it off until after you've spent at least a little bit of time in the morning just to yourself without any distractions. But honestly, sometimes I do it for like hours and hours and hours, and I just really love it. I think especially, that's like a good advice at this time, because of course it's so easy to just get glued to the screen, watching like the media, like seeing what everybody's saying. And that's another thing. Like I've had a habit for years of not watching the news. Not everybody will necessarily agree, but the way I look at it is I'm like, the news is just there to trigger you and to make you watch more of it. And the way that they do that is by inducing these negative emotions. And at this time, of course, like the media is loving it because people are just glued to it. So I think practicing less media consumption is just really, really good. And trying to do stuff that's using your own brain more instead of just being fed information, consume your own information. So, take this time to like read, journal, meditate, and I think just get creative as well. Like, you don't want to look back at this time and be like, oh, all I did was watch Netflix all day for months on end. It's like, no, think of what is it that you can actually produce? How can you get creative? How can you use your talents? How can you use your mind at this time? And so I think acting in that way is what will really keep you feeling sane. And then just again, right? Like just being like, okay, we have to take this one day at a time. There's so many what ifs, so many things we don't know. And you can sit there and freak out about all of it, but it hasn't actually happened yet. So what's the point in wasting the time that you have right now by worrying about a future that doesn't even exist?
No, I completely agree. And like with what you were saying about the media, like I read recently that just 14 minutes of negative news increases like feelings of sadness and anxiety. And so just even knowing that just 14 minutes can do that much, like just imagine people that are watching hours of it. So I definitely agree that it's important to really limit the amount you watch the news. If you want to watch a little bit just to be informed, that's great, but don't like over consume in it. And then with what you were saying about airplane mode, I actually kind of started doing that, like where in the morning, I just don't look at my phone. I don't look at the notifications. I'm just like, the morning is for me. And it's been honestly so nice. Like, I just feel like I'm kind of disconnected from what's going on in the world, but in a good way. Like, I'm just being connected to myself. So thank you for that advice. It's been really, really nice just waking up, I feeling not overly stressed about people just messaging you or kind of just bombarding you with things.
Yeah, definitely. I'm so glad to hear that. And I guess another thing, and of course, this is always true, whether or not we're quarantined, but it's such a mindset thing, right? It's like, are you coming from abundance mindset or a scarcity mindset? And a huge thing for me that has been so transformative is thinking about what you're grateful for, practicing gratitude. So I know that it's so easy to get into that state of lack right now. It's like, I can't do this, can't do this, can't do this. But if you're only focused on those things, then of course you're not going to feel good because you're just focusing on negativity and on lack and what you don't have. Whereas, obviously it's a difficult time, and yeah, maybe you might feel like, oh, there's less to be grateful for, but at the same time, it's like just the fact that you woke up today, that like you're alive, that you do have access to food, you do have access to clean drinking water, that you're healthy, you're safe. Like, there's just so many things to be grateful for, and focusing on those things is really important. And I mean, again, this is a huge problem with the media, is they only tell you the negative things. Like, they're not telling you the positive things that are coming from all of this. And like, there is some positive stuff that's coming from it. And I've just been thinking about, like, it's so funny because of course we live in like literally the best time ever to be a human. And yet, as per Louis C.K., everything is amazing and no one is happy. So I kind of hope that after all of this, that people will maybe take on a little bit more of a gratitude approach, because it's like, you already had so much to be grateful for and so many people weren't grateful, and now some of it kind of got taken away. And so maybe people are like, oh, wow, I actually had it really good. I should have been grateful then. So I think working on that as well. And like, I mean, studies have shown just even focusing on that a little bit just dramatically improves your mental health. Having a gratitude journal right before bed where you just write about, like, what went well today, what can I be happy about today, shows that you can sleep a lot better. So I think that that's, even outside of this pandemic, it's always something to practice.
I completely agree. I feel like right now is a time where people can really develop, healthy habits, even though it might not seem like what you would think of first to do, like, oh, I should develop healthy habits. But yeah, because people have the time right now, practicing gratitude, which is something I love doing as well, journaling, like kind of just expressing your thoughts and doing so through writing. Like you said, it really does improve mood and help with sleep. So just kind of doing things like that, of course, are really helpful. But hopefully over time, people do see this because, yeah, a scarcity mindset is just going to create more panic, whereas having an abundance mindset is going to just create more like acceptance and hopefully just lead to better things. So what is your morning routine? So obviously you said, airplane mode, and you journal, right? In your morning routine?
Oh, yes. So, like, two huge staples for me. Well, I guess obviously three, like exercise is part of it too. And that's actually been an interesting shift I made recently. So, I definitely used to exercise more like midday, and I used to see it as kind of a way to break up my day. So I would like work in the morning. Also, I usually wait to eat breakfast for a bit, and I used to kind of, I think, be afraid to work out on an empty stomach because I was like, what if I don't have energy or like I feel sick? And I know you actually kind of encouraged this because I was thinking about starting to exercise earlier. So that's actually been something that's changed recently, is now I exercise sometimes like very first thing in the morning. I'm kind of playing around, and like, yeah, like, my routines, my morning routine and stuff, it changes. I experiment and like, how do I feel if I do this? And like, I play around with the order in which I do things. But yeah, I mean, exercise obviously was always part of what I did, but now it's becoming part of the actual morning routine. And I really like it. And I have discovered that you can totally exercise on an empty stomach and it's totally fine. So no need to be afraid of that. So I've really enjoyed that. Obviously, it's just great because, you just get it over and done with. Like, you know, you're not going to be like putting it off or anything and dreading doing it later. And then you're obviously just energized, got all the endorphins, and you're ready to go for the rest of the day. But then, yeah, two other huge staples for sure is reading every day and then journaling as well. And I can really feel the difference in the flow of my day if I don't do those things. Like, I'm like, I can just feel, I'm like, oh, I didn't read today. Like, that's why I feel weird. Or, oh, I didn't journal today. That's why I feel weird. So definitely, I think, you know, there's a kind of a couple staple main ones that all the successful people talk about doing. Hal Elrod is one of my favorite kind of success coaches, whatever category you want to put him in. He's the author of The Miracle Morning and The Miracle Equation, and his stuff has really changed my life. He's a super inspiring story, but he talks about what he calls the savers, which is silence. So for meditating, the A is affirmations, the V is visualization, E for exercise, R for reading, and the other S is scribing, which is like journaling. And I think the one that I would love to develop more is definitely like the silent meditation, and then visualizing and affirmations. Visualizing and affirmations, I kind of go back and forth with, and I do actually quite enjoy doing it when I am doing it consistently, but then I just kind of won't necessarily be that consistent with it. So those are the ones that I would like to work on bringing into my routine more. And I mean, yeah, like I said, they're always repeated over and over again by very successful people, like visualization, affirmation, and then meditation as being super crucial to your personal development.
Yeah, I love those habits. I do read as well. And meditating is one of those, like for you, what affirmation is. Meditation is for me. I'm kind of like back and forth with it. But yeah, I think like right now in this time where people are so uncertain, I think it's important like to do something like meditation or doing affirmation and visualization, just because I feel like people need to look forward to something in a positive way. And I just feel like with affirmation and like meditating, I feel like things like that can be really, really helpful, because I know they've definitely been helpful for me, like journaling and meditating. And it's just a way to obviously just kind of just calm your nerves and just realize that you are in control while you can't control everything else.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I think it's just important, like, you know, it's just so easy to consume stuff, right? That's what most people unfortunately are doing, is just like, you know, from the moment they wake up to the moment they go to bed, they're just glued to a screen, and like they're just in a reactive state, right? Instead of being in a more intentional, proactive state, put more of your attention onto things that you're actually implementing. So things that require your brain instead of just consuming something. So reading, writing, meditating, creating, like try to focus on those things more, and you're definitely going to feel so much more positive.
I agree. Just having like your intention set for the day makes such a difference. But like obviously you've been doing this for quite a bit of time, and you know, so have I. So I guess for someone who's maybe like never done those kind of things before, like what advice would you give them in order to kind of start out and to eventually like make these habits into part of their routine?
I think it's definitely important to start small, you know, very slow and steady. If you don't do any of those things and then you're just like, okay, tomorrow I'm going to do all of them, like that's very overwhelming. I mean, I've been practicing these things for a while now, and I'm still not doing all of the things, right? So I think focus just on one, just pick one, which one you think would be your favorite. Obviously, you should be exercising too if you're not. And that's one of the, you know, staying healthy. It's one of the best things you can do right now. But I think probably the best one to get started with is reading, because I kind of feel like reading opens up the gates to pretty much everything else, because it just gets your brain active. It gets your imagination going. It gets creativity flowing. And so just grab a book. You probably have books in your house that you've been meaning to read and never gotten around to. Put your phone in airplane mode before you go to bed. There's also studies that show that that actually improves your quality of sleep as well. Like if it's straight up in airplane mode, because the actual waves or whatever, the communication of the media coming into your phone, if it's in airplane mode, that's not coming through. It apparently can affect your quality of sleep. I'm not sure to what degree, but just fun little fact there. But yeah, like start your morning in airplane mode, and just think of it like, just tell yourself like, okay, I'm just going to read 10 pages, or I'm just going to read for 10 minutes. It doesn't need to be a lot, but you know, I think it's one of those things too. Like once you kind of start doing it, you start to get in the flow, and then you probably want to do it even more. So that's probably what I would recommend, is start with reading. That's kind of my flow, is like I read first and then I journal after, because I find that after I read, I'm kind of more in that mood of like, okay, now I have like ideas in my head and now I want to go and like write it all out.
No, I think I'm going to start doing that, because I like doing that too, where it's like I wake up and I read first, but then I've just kind of skipped the journaling and I save that for later. But yeah, I just feel like if you have a flow, like because you're in this kind of mood because you just did this, then it's just easier to transition to the next thing. And then it's easier to transition to the thing after that. So I'm going to try that, because yeah, I feel like I need to be even more consistent with my journaling. I feel like I do so every few days, but that's a good idea. So obviously, for you with your fitness journey though, it's been like a few years, and I just kind of wanted to talk a little bit about that, because for everyone, exercising isn't always the easiest thing. So I just kind of want to know, like, what pursued you to really like start fitness for you?
Oh, well, it started because I, for the first time in my life, really noticed that my body was changing quite fast in a way that I didn't like. So I was definitely gaining weight pretty quickly. And I could just tell I was on the path to really get into that position of like having gained a lot of weight. And it just seemed like it was kind of spiraling out of control. I am genetically predisposed to being somebody who gains weight quite easily. Pretty much everyone in my family is overweight. So it just goes to show, right? Like genetics is just responsible for a very small amount, because you can change that. But yeah, I just saw that I wasn't happy with it. And even beyond how I looked, I mean, definitely the way I was looking was really making me feel devastated, because it was like, oh my God, I've never looked like this. And I was so unhappy with my reflection. But I also just didn't feel good. Like I had no energy. It was just sluggish. And yeah, I just wasn't doing anything to actually try and take care of myself. So that's actually what started it. Like what got the ball rolling in the very beginning. So this was back in like August, September 2015. And then I think just because I realized that just a little bit could go such a long way, because I went from, doing absolutely nothing to just doing like 20-minute workouts at home, like 3 or 4 times a week. And just doing that, my body changed so much. I lost so much weight. I started, getting toned up, skin getting tighter, and just felt really good. And I was like, wow, I can't believe how effective it was to just make such a small change. And then it just kind of kept growing from there. I just wanted to keep learning more and more. And then it turned all the way into a full blown obsession, especially once I discovered actually like really studying the science and really learning about, building muscle, building strength and nutrition and how it all works together. And then implementing what I had studied and, putting it to the test on my own body and getting such incredible results in such a short amount of time, and just being like, wow, this is awesome. So I think that that's just kind of what got it started. And that's what I would recommend to other people too. Obviously, it seems like such an overwhelming thing to pursue when you're not in the habit of doing it. But I think, it's important to think about the benefits that it's going to give you instead of like the actual act of doing it, So it's easy to be like, oh, it's like hard and it's not fun or something. But it's like, okay, but let's think about how good the outcome is going to be. You're going to feel good. You're going to look great. You're going to be more confident. You're going to be more happy, more energized. You're going to be able to age better. You're going to live longer. You're going to live more healthfully. People are going to compliment you. Just all the benefits. Think of the reasons why you should do it and like what the outcomes would be, instead of just focusing on the act of doing it itself. And then again, just start slow, And what is so interesting is I already knew this, but I'm understanding it even more deeply now that I'm working out from home, is like you really can do such an incredible workout and get so much bang for your buck in just like 10 minutes, 20 minutes, And it's like, I mean, especially now you're at home anyways, like you definitely, it's like, just take these 10 minutes, these 20 minutes, just do it for yourself. And like, you're going to feel so good afterwards, and just focus on the outcome that it's going to give you, which is so worth the small amount of time it takes.
I agree. Like, I think people think I need to work out for an hour, if not more, in order to get results. But it really goes down to the good old saying, quality over quantity. I just feel like if you really give your all, even if it is in a short amount of time, you can really, like you said, get a really good workout as long as you have that motivation. And I feel like also, too, instead of just saying it, oh, I want to exercise just to look good. I mean, yeah, looking good is one thing, but I feel like you need to have like a deeper reason other than just the physical. Like, obviously, you said, I was starting to see the results, but that wasn't really the biggest motivator at that moment. It was more so how you were feeling about yourself because you were getting stronger. I feel it's definitely more of like the internal feeling that you want. And then the physical just kind of comes as a result.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's a full package deal for sure. And like, that's what especially with women, and like how much pressure there is to have a certain body and all of this. And just something I really realized is like, you're gonna look good because you're taking care of yourself. And like taking care of yourself is attractive because it means you're healthy and you're strong. Like those are good things. It's essential to living a good quality life that you need those things. You need to nourish yourself and you need to strengthen yourself. And when you do that, as an inevitable byproduct, you are going to look good. But, there's only so much that you can control. Like, obviously, yes, genetics do come in to a degree here where it's like you can't completely change, like, if you have like wider hips, like that's just how it's going to be because that's just your genetic makeup. And instead, being like, yeah, you are going to look good, but that's because you're taking care of yourself, and taking care of yourself means you look good, but it also means that you feel amazing and that you have tons of energy and that you're more positive and optimistic because you're high off of endorphins all the time. And, you're more confident, you feel more proud of yourself, more capable, more empowered. And it's just all around, it's going to make your quality of life so much better. And to me, I always see it as it's the best life that you can have because, quite literally have your cake and eat it too. And then I think that that's probably the biggest downfall for almost everyone when it comes to fitness is unfortunately that very much that all or nothing mentality that is a byproduct of our instant gratification culture, right? And so it's like we just get it in our heads like, okay, well, like if I'm not gonna have like perfect results in one day, then there's just no point. And so it's like instead of seeing it as something that has an end date or has an end goal, it's like I think that people can get really sucked into that where they're like, okay, I'm going to eat really well, I'm going to exercise for a month so that like I can like fit into this dress. But it's like, do you really only want it for a month or do you want it for the rest of your life? This is an ongoing lifestyle. It's not something that you're doing just to hit like a certain target. It's like you want to do it forever because you want to look and feel good every day. And what's cool about that is like when it actually is consistent in your life, it doesn't have to be all or nothing at all. It can be totally balanced. Like you can be traveling the world, eating delicious food, and still be looking and feeling amazing every single day. You can be going out to eat, you can still be drinking alcohol, you can still go out and party and be really healthy and fit. It doesn't need to be one or the other. And I think that that's really where a lot of people will fail, well, quote unquote fail, because yeah, just like, oh, I wasn't perfect, so there's no point in trying because it's not going to work now.
No, I agree. And I feel like, yeah, if you make it into a lifestyle, then you can fit into that dress any time of the year, not just for that one occasion, and obviously, like what you said, that's what your life has been these last few years is that you've been traveling and living in all these countries, but you've been able to maintain your fitness, just because you've just been consistent and because you made it a lifestyle. People just think, oh, I need to just take care of myself so I can look good in the bikini for this trip. But when your life is literally going on one trip to another, it's kind of like, well, I should just develop these habits all the time.
And honestly, it's like you just end up falling in love with it because it's like you fall in love with how good you feel and like looking and feeling good all the time. It's addictive, really. And it's like when you see that you can do it quite simply and that you don't have to give up everything fun in life, like that you kind of have the balance, you want to do this lifestyle. You don't feel like you're forcing yourself to do it or that it's like a punishment or something. It's like, no, I actually want to be this way because I love feeling good. I love looking in the mirror and loving the way I look. I love being able to wear cute clothes and feel great in it and know that I can still go out and eat pizza and go drink beer with my friends and I'm still going to look and feel great tomorrow.
Exactly. So obviously, right now you're still in Mexico. So right now, what do you see for yourself in the near future, given the circumstances?
Yeah, well, that's the question on everyone's mind, huh?
I know, right?
Yeah, like again, I just have been so of the mindset, just I'm going to take this one day at a time because it's just really hard to say. So, I think we all had like, oh, it's 2020, like all these big plans and stuff. And now for so many people, that's kind of had to change because we just don't really know what's going to happen. So I think for me, again, as I've said, like kind of in the day to day, things haven't changed a whole lot. But I think just, yeah, the immediate focus is like, okay, stay safe and really focus on just providing value for people at this time, creating great content. I've kind of realized that I want to especially focus on nutrition, definitely still having the fitness element. But again, I'm just like, people are stuck at home. Unfortunately, most people, especially in North America, really do not know anything about nourishing themselves. So this is a perfect time to learn, and it is the most important thing overall. Yeah, the fitness is super important too, but like without good nutrition, you're never going to really get anywhere. So I think that that's kind of just my plan is, okay, continue to provide value in that context, especially focusing on whole food nutrition and teaching people how they can do that and how they can enjoy it and how it can be easy. And yeah, just kind of focusing on creating different programs and kind of exploring more of the online business world because I mean, obviously I was already in it, but for sure that is where the world is going right now. And I mean, it already was going in that direction, but because of this virus, it's really going to speed up the rate at which people become totally remote working and totally virtual. So I think it's a really good time to learn as much as you can and create as much as you can because yeah, definitely, I mean, the world's going to definitely really shift from this and it's going to be a very virtual remote work platform. So just kind of creating programs and resources that are going to accommodate that.
No, perfect. Well, I'm excited to see all of it, but I agree, this is definitely going to make a huge shift in the world as to realizing, oh, I actually don't need to go into work. I can do this remotely. So it'll be exciting to see what kind of businesses and ideas come out from this time. So I'm kind of looking forward to that. But for people that, want to learn more about nutrition and also get some good exercise videos, how can people follow you online?
Yep. So come on over to my Instagram at Meaghan Janisse. So it's my name. So MEAGHANJANISSE. I've been going ham with the content, as I was saying. I'm really using IGTV a lot. So making tons of workout videos, nutrition videos. And yeah, like I said, that's really going to be my focus now. So I'm just going to really be pumping out okay, you can make this thing. Like, here's exactly how you do it. Like, you get these ingredients, throw it together, boom, and you have an awesome dinner made in 10 minutes, that kind of thing. Because yeah, I think that those are the types of resources people really need right now. So come on over there. You're going to find lots of good stuff.
Perfect. Okay. Well, I want to end this on another positive note. So long term, this passes. What is something that you're really hoping to do later this year once everyone doesn't have to be self-quarantined and can go out and travel again?
Yeah. So a huge goal of mine, and I know that it will happen inevitably. I don't know if it will happen exactly on the same schedule that I wanted anymore, but I really want to start doing in-person fitness retreats. It's not necessarily a retreat in the usual sense of the word. It's like a little bit kind of like mini boot camp, mini, personal development stuff at the same time. So that's something that I was hoping to do this year, but of course we'll have to kind of see what happens with all of this stuff. But for sure that's going to happen at one point or another. And I really want to turn it into a consistent thing, is that we go to these awesome different locations in the world. So also encouraging other women to pursue solo travel. Obviously, all about that life. And so really want to help bring more women into that. And I think, again, especially the fact that everybody is going to be going very remote after this, it's going to really open up a lot of opportunity for those women. So incorporating both that aspect of the traveling and then coming and having kind of this women empowerment circle and having that nutrition and fitness component where you can learn from me hands-on in person in this great setting. So it's going to be lit and I'm super excited about it whenever it happens.
Yes, I'm excited about it too. I remember you telling me about it and I'm like, oh, I cannot wait for you to launch it and I cannot wait to be a part of it. There's exciting things to come. We just obviously need to just kind of tread in this water for a bit and then eventually things will get better. So yes, Meaghan Janisse, everyone follow her on Instagram. You definitely want her content. You need her content and definitely keep an eye out for these retreats once the world is open again. So thank you so much, Meaghan. I'm super excited to see what else you put up.
Thanks so much, Ashley.
For more information on travel and life abroad, go to Venture-Ette.com. If you enjoyed this episode, let me know by leaving a review. And be sure to follow me at Venture-Ette on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Safe travels, and until next time.